Details in writing. Today, we will learn about the 5 different types of details that we can add in writing, and also use tips to integrate them. First, we will learn the definition of a detail, the 5 main types, and we'll learn how to actually use these details. Now, first, a detail is something or fact or feature that describes an object in greater depth. Now, why do we use details? First, it can turn a piece of writing from inspirational, boring, or bland to more colorful, which will grab the reader's attention and eye. Second, allows the reader to actually feel the writing and put the reader in perspective. Third, it allows for more vivid description in the writing, which overall boosts the writing quality. And fourth, it makes it more organized and it makes the writing flow better. Visual details. Visual details relate to the sight, or what the reader can see in their head. It usually gives greater features to a face, a person, a pet, an object, or setting. For example, can change a vague term such as a room to like a dark shadowing closet filled with spiders. These visual details allow the reader to remember the certain image of characters, objects, and settings. Another example. First, we use the term the girl with red hair, which is a vague and not detailed word, and that can be turned into the girl with copper curls and freckled pale skin, and with a brown birthmark on the right side of her cheek and a scowl. Now, as we can see, the girl with red hair again is a vague description, but when we add more details, the reader can now imagine and recognize more features of this girl, such as curly hair, freckles, birthmark, height, and her scowl. Now let's move on to auditory details. Sound also plays an important role in writing. For example, conversations and auditory details help move the story along and makes it more organized. Again, the writing flows. And sounds will also help enrich the setting of the picture too. For example, the train, which is another big term, can be turned into the loud, sharp whistles of the oncoming steam engine. These hearing auditory details add new memories and new descriptions into the reader for more memory. Now, for example, we can have the growling dog can turn into the screeching wails of the rabid dog. Now that we added the word screeching, which adds to the pain of the dog, as we can see, the reader knows the state of the dog and how the dog communicates by wailing. Without these words and these hearing details, we wouldn't know how the dog actually felt. Next, we have smell details, and there's a scientific reason behind why smell is so effective. First, the nose sensors that detect different smells link up with the human brain very closely, and this makes the actual reader, which is a human, more hyper-aware of a certain scent or smell. This means that just a whiff or brief scent can trigger memories and really powerful feelings in the human, which is the reader. Despite this, I never really see, or stories never really add smells in writing. They're not as usually located in writing as much, but it's important to add them because smells are just another factor in writing, and they too have great power over the reader's emotions and feelings. Now, for example, the word breakfast can be turned into the hungry smells of golden, buttery pancakes drowning in viscous syrup. Now, the word breakfast is an umbrella term, and that makes a lot of different foods. But when you use adjectives to describe the breakfast in closer detail, it creates a more deeper, vivid image. Now we have touch details or sense details. And using touch allows us to explore the different sizes, textures, shapes, and patterns of an object or person. Now, not only can the reader visualize or hear the scene, but The reader can also experience the scene and feel the scene. Now, by using these sensory details, the reader can finally, truly put themselves in the place of the character by reading and imagining. Now, for example, the zombie running can be turned into the stale gasps of the zombie reaching a flesh-covered hand towards me. Now, using the words that signify touch, such as reaching a hand and flesh-covered, which shows the state of the hand, can all put the reader into perspective. Lastly, we have taste details. And using taste can create really powerful image about food, specifically in the reader's mind. And this is most useful if the writing involves food, recipes, and cooking. For example, the word burger can be turned into the cheesy, gooey mountain of meat piled onto a brioche bun. Now, specifically, the adjectives and adverbs recreate the texture and the feeling of the burger, like the reader is almost eating the burger inside their own mouth. Now, we're going to learn how to actually add details into writing. First, get rid of really vague, open-ended, and bland language in writing, such as good. These words are empty and don't add any actual substance into writing itself. Next, make use of other literary devices such as similes and metaphors. Literary devices can make writing more interesting and organized for the reader. Third, we can start to use more vivid language to describe certain events and scenes, but we'll talk more on that later. Fourth, follow the rule of showing but not telling. You should explain, present to the reader in an interesting way, but not just state the events that happen. Now the fifth rule, this is important. Focus on a few specific key details about a setting, character, or object. If you add too many details, these details can draw out the message that the writer wants to present. Lastly, figure out why and how you're going to add details, so you have a clear goal of when you add them. Now, let's use vivid language at the right moments. While using vivid adjectives are important, refrain from using words such as wonderful, amazing, spectacular, as these words are not really that descriptive, and they are also empty and not necessary to the actual story. When using vivid words, make sure that you actually need them and that they add substance to what you are writing. So it's beneficial to ask yourself, do I need these words or this word in my writing? Will my writing not be complete if I don't have this? Does this enrich the writing that I want? Now be careful when using adverbs. A few key adverbs in the right places will really add to it, but too many will mess up the flow of the writing. Verbs are important too. For example, it's good to replace simple verbs such as run to convey more action and more feeling, such as using the words scurry, dash, sprint. Lastly, make clear and concise sentences in writing. Do not ramble on, as rambling on will mess up with the organization and the overall flow of the writing. Now here is extra practice for learning how to add details, and this goes into greater depth on using details in writing. Here we have analyzing descriptive paragraphs, which shows why and how these writers use details at the right moments and how it made the paragraph overall more descriptive and vivid. Lastly, we have more articles on how to actually use descriptions in your overall writing.